Today's fellow fasting foodie friend has been fasting about 2 years. In that time, she's lost approximately 20 pounds. She is a 62-year-old retiree in Michigan, and she's also my mother. Today's guest is Joni Sauers. Welcome, Joni.
Hi, Jax.
How's it going?
Good. How about with you?
Pretty good. I'm so excited to have my mom on the podcast.
Excited to be here.
And it's not only exciting to have you here, but it's exciting that you're a faster. Woo-hoo.
I know. That's awesome. I'm so glad you introduced me to it. For real.
Although we fast differently, which we will get into. And I think that's a great illustration of what fasting can be for different people. So
I agree.
The first question, are you fasting right now?
Yes. Got my black coffee.
Me too. Is yours decaf?
Yep. Always.
That's another way we're opposite. Always decaf for her and never for me. Although I do at night occasionally make decaf.
Yeah. Let's see. Even if I have like a couple cups of decaf coffee, then I get too much caffeine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I actually think of that when I'm debating, do I want decaf? I think, well, I know mom still gets some caffeine from decaf, so I know I can survive on a little, I guess.
Yep. True.
Any big plans for your eating window today?
No. I made a tamale casserole thing.
Oh, yum.
But it tasted awful. So now I may have to switch gears. I'm not sure.
Enough taco sauce, cheese, and refried beans could cover most taste, though.
That's true. That's true. Throw the lettuce in there, and it's kind of nirvana no matter what.
Yeah, it's funny that you said you were making that, because I was thinking right before this of like, there's very few meals that stick out from like childhood that I loved, and that was one of them. And soup. And I'm making soup today. My mom's a fabulous soup maker. No recipes.
I'll trade you.
We're having potato soup.
Oh, I have lots of potatoes. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah. You could put your casserole on it.
No.
Just kidding.
I like to throw everything in a soup, and not that. Yeah.
That takes it a little too far. But you are, as I said, she's a fabulous soup maker, and she's how I learned to make soup. That really there is very little that you can do wrong. You just keep adding, use up leftovers or odds and ends. And that's how I like to make my soups too. So thank you, Mom.
Thank you. You're a fabulous soup maker. And soup, it's cool because you can put all the things you love.
Mm-hmm. And it may be March tomorrow, but it still feels like bitter Michigan winter here.
Yeah. Better today than yesterday, though. Ugh.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So within your eating window, do you diet at all?
No. That's, to me, that's the beauty of intermittent fasting is I don't have to think about dieting. I don't have to have that diet mentality. And that's the total freedom in it for me. And that's the draw. And that's also what makes it a lifestyle and something I can do forever.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And on that note, what is your favorite way to open your eating window? Or is it day by day, whatever sounds good?
Yeah. I don't have like I don't even think of like a thing to open my eating window. I just eat whatever. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to eat now. So I just open it with whatever I feel like opening it with at the time.
Awesome. And you mentioned in your little bio, and I know this just because I know you, but that you probably would be identifying more as an 18-6. But do you track at all your eating windows, your fasts?
No. I mean, I mentally kind of keep a little clock in my head, but I don't stick to, oh my gosh, it's okay. Been so many hours now I can eat. I go by what my body says. And some days I may open my eating window at 11, and some days I may open it at 5. It just depends.
We're going to take a quick break.
break to mention my sponsor, Element. I really enjoy working with Element. They're an electrolyte brand and they are so delicious. I love having them, especially in my eating window where I can have all their amazing flavors. My absolute favorite is to mix their watermelon with lemonade. And here's something you may not think of. They're actually really good to make margaritas or cocktails out of. My current obsession is using their summer flavor of grapefruit and making a paloma out of it, or even mixing that straight into like a ginger ale mocktail. So good. There's so many delicious combinations, and I definitely think it's worth having in your eating window. On top of tasting good, Element helps me to stay hydrated and feel good. Even if I have longer fasts, I no longer get the sore legs that I used to suffer from. Right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serve packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or to share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/fastingfoodie. That's DRINKLMNT.com/fastingfoodie. Thank you so much to Element for sponsoring this video.
Really kind of cool that you can know the difference between I need to eat at 11 or I don't want to eat till 5.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, let's just put it on the table. I could always eat, because
me too.
I like to eat. Yeah. So it's not that. It's sometimes you just feel your body's saying, hey, hello, I need something. So I listen to that and I don't feel guilty about that. That's the cool part. I don't feel like, oh my God, I have to start over or I crash this. I might as well eat everything in the plate. I never have that,
I remember a few years back before you retired, you had done something similar when you were working, right? Weren't you waiting to eat, but you also had mints and gum?
Oh, yeah. Without clean fasting, it really did not work for me because I just felt hungry. You know what I'm saying?
Can you explain what you did before and then kind of the shift to what you do now?
Well, I've never been a cream in the coffee kind of girl or, sugar or any of that kind of stuff. So I've always had black coffee and I've never really liked to eat breakfast. Yeah. But I had low blood sugar. So I felt like it was necessary for me to eat breakfast in order to go till whenever, I could eat again. But then I started not eating breakfast, but I always would have gum, sugarless mints, and I figured those were free because they didn't really have any calories. But what they were doing is they made me hungry. They made me feel like my body was thinking, oh, we're going to eat now. So it was always in a prep stage, and it made me way too hungry. And then when I started clean fasting, big difference, big difference. I did not have that hunger. I mean, there was initially, that mind bend where you had to get over it. Yeah. But then to me, when I was working, it was the best freedom ever. I didn't have to pack a lunch. I didn't have to worry about snack. I didn't have to worry when I was going to eat. Can I warm this up in time and get it eaten? Am I going to have spinach in my teeth? Yeah. All that stuff. I mean, all that stuff that you have to think about. Packing it, ice bag. What do I carry it in? Is my lunchbox clean? Do I have a container? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't have to think about any of that. I had to make my coffee, make my iced tea, and go to work. It was the best day ever, every day.
That's awesome. Did your coworkers treat you any different? Did they notice a change when you made that shift?
Not really, because I worked in a school and everybody's kind of independent and, I didn't eat with other people. We all had separate lunch hours. So nobody really knew,
Okay.
Except for like, if we had treats and stuff like that, I would save it for when my eating window opened. I was more, when I worked, I did have a schedule. So I would save it for when my eating window opened, and that would be like 3:30 to 4 every day. And they'd be like, why aren't you eating that? And I don't eat until, and I would explain it a little bit, and they'd all look at me like horror.
Yeah.
What a world. Yeah.
I've seen that look before.
Yeah. What planet did you come from? But, it really, really worked for me. I was surprised. I was very surprised. And I felt different. Even before I started losing weight, my body felt different. I mean, my body felt different in clothes. My body, and I'm not a really weigh yourself that often kind of person because number one, it was always depressing and it fluctuates so easily, I mean, I could have a bunch of water weight and then looks like I've gained 5 pounds in one day, and I don't want to carry that mentally with me. So, but I could feel different, I just had more confidence. And really, I think part of that is feeling in control, because yeah, I felt in control and not subject to a diet or a should or a shouldn't or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that even not having the diet mentality, you also have the freedom of the joy, like
right,
no regrets. And all of that
agreed
leads to joy in other areas. I think that I've had the availability to enjoy social situations, enjoy meals, enjoy visiting you. The best bakery in the state of Michigan is right down the road from my mom. And you better believe I make room for it in the eating window when I visit. And it's all led to, I do think confidence has come as a part of it because I don't have the weighing down that beats myself up mentally, that I'm able to just be more confident in other areas.
Right. Well, even to take that a step further or deeper, I think we're conditioned as people to obey. We obey in school, we obey our parents, we obey, and it kind of takes the individuality out of our lives. And I think when you're super busy, you fall back on what you've learned. And if you've learned to obey, when you're on a diet and you have to obey the laws and only eat this and only eat that, all of a sudden you have an area in your life where you do what you want to do. And it's freedom. And I think it does carry over into other areas of your life where you feel like, oh, this is more naturally me, and I'm more comfortable in my skin and in my life and in my social settings and blah, blah, blah on down the line. Yeah.
I love that. And I think I get some lovely trolls on comments and videos.
Right.
And it really doesn't even bother me because I think, maybe you're right. I would fare off better if I didn't eat this. And I don't deny that my choices aren't picture perfect, but I'm not trying to tell people what to eat. I'm trying to show them freedom, and I'm able to do this sustainably. Right. And because I'm confident and I see the fruits of me making decisions that are best for me and knowing that I'm better off this way than I was previously, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't change the reality.
Right.
And previously, if I was dieting and then I had a donut and then someone made fun of me on the internet, I would probably, roll up in a ball and cry because I didn't have the same level of confidence with my decision making because it was an obey situation.
I understand that. And not only that, but life is a process and we're all learning. Like I have books in my queue ready to go to learn how to eat healthier and, to maximize the fasting windows.
Yeah.
But
100%.
I'm not ready to go there yet. So, but I know they're available and that's part of my process and it's my life. So I can process my life the way I want and really people that didn't understand what I was doing or why I was doing it. I just figured that's not my problem.
Exactly.
You're either going to get it or you're not. And it doesn't sway me because I know what I'm doing and I know that it works for me. So I don't go out and preach it, I will introduce it to people. And if they're interested, I will point them to your channel or whatever, because really you can be the teacher and I'll just be the messenger. And, if they like it, great. And if they don't, great. It works for me.
Yeah. Yep. That's 100% where I come from too. I feel like sharing with people, I'm not trying to convince anyone.
Right.
I just feel like people need to know that it's an option because of how much my life has changed.
Right.
But I also feel like I have a huge advantage that both of my parents not only didn't give me a hard time, but you became fasters, which I think makes the world of fasting easier when
it does.
You hear stories of people who are like, concerned for your safety, or they really don't understand or agree. But I don't have to worry about that no matter which side of the family function I go to.
Yeah.
Mom and dad fast. Woohoo.
Exactly. Well, my mom and dad, who are in their 80s, when I first told them, they'd be like, well, because at their house, it's always snacks, and we'll bring out the crackers and the cookies and the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like,
Grandma's a cookie pusher for sure.
Yeah, she is. But they'd be like, what do you mean you don't want one? And I'd be like, well, I'm not eating right now. What do you mean you're not eating? I mean, like, oh my God, what does that mean? And then if I explained it, that look of horror, like you're an alien. But now, after a couple of years, they just, like dad will say, do you want something to eat? And mom will say, well, she's not eating yet, Denny. It's like, that's just the way it is. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
I think if you just walk forward with confidence in what you're doing, then people just will fall off, the naysayers, whatever. That's your issue. It's not mine. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So, speaking of individuality and doing what works for you, can you explain kind of your very generous or loose approach to fasting, and how maybe it's a way that people could approach it with ease?
Right. Okay. So for one thing, being retired is totally different than working, because I have all day, every day that I can do what I want, when I want, how I want. So that's a beautiful thing. Number one. Number two, if I wasn't fasting, I don't want to think about how much I'd weigh. Honestly, because it would be like, oh, I could have, sweet rolls for breakfast. Of course, because I couldn't do that before. That's kind of a retirement mentality. But I don't track. I don't go for a certain number of hours. I just go each day until I know it's time to eat. That sounds stupid, but it's intuitive for me. And that's the way I do it,
Do you feel like it took you some time to kind of tune in intuitively?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it did. It was a process just like anything else, but the longer you do it, I mean, it's a very natural way to live, in my opinion. But even so, the longer you do it, the more natural it becomes. So I don't really even think about it anymore. I just live it. I just live. And that's awesome. The way it works. Yeah.
Now, do you feel like you're postmenopausal, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So postmenopausal, do you feel like it's helped you? I'm not in the same situation, but I know people actually get in my inbox about perimenopause, through menopause, postmenopausal. Do you think it's helped you maintain a weight rather than gaining weight?
Yes. And really, I know that, I could definitely lose weight. I know I could.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And yeah, I could, change the way I eat and how I eat. And that's always in the back of my mind that that's an option. But right now, for where I'm at, maintaining is good. And really, I would weigh a lot more if I didn't intermittent fast. And after menopause, it's amazing how much your body does slow down. And you cannot lose weight the same way you did. And it used to be, if I needed to lose 5 pounds, well, you do that in a week easy. Just, a couple days of cutting back or starving or whatever. And that's not the same anymore. So, so I've noticed that. But I use it more like to maintain a healthy weight.
And that's one thing I encourage new fasters if they haven't lost weight. I know personally in the diet cycle, it was a victory to not gain weight.
Right.
Because I was either actively trying very hard to lose weight or in a screw it mentality gaining weight.
Right.
And so if I ask them, are you still enjoying your eating windows and not gaining weight? That's victory. That's like it's hard to see it as a victory, but if you take a step back, it really is.
It is. And it's a victory in life because you don't have to think about that. I mean, you don't realize it took me, I still, after 2 years or whatever, I still find myself sometimes thinking diet wise, like, well, I shouldn't have that. And I think, really? I don't have to think like that anymore. So
now here's a very weird question for you, but I only feel comfortable asking you because you're my mom. Do you ever, speaking of diet brain, this happened to me all the time when I was dieting and rarely shows up now, but still on occasion. Do you ever feel like you think of a delicious food so much that then all of a sudden you feel like you ate 10 loads of it and you feel guilty and you're like, oh wait, I was only thinking about it. I never ate that.
No.
That's one of my most lingering diet things is
really?
If I'm looking forward to a meal. I used to deal with it a lot because food is very joyful to me. I really enjoy eating.
Me too.
Before fasting, while fasting. And so sometimes, and it's not even like an obsessive, like, get me the food, but it's like looking forward to it or planning it or looking up the recipe, making sure I have the ingredients. And sometimes if I think of it so much, I'm like, wow, I ate. And I'm like, wait, I never ate it yet.
Well, now that you're going through the process, I can relate to that. So I guess I have thought that before because I am relating. So, yeah.
That's one of my more lingering diet mentalities is like feeling guilty for thinking of food enough. And a lot of it, it's not obsessive. It sounds kind of crazy, but like I said, you're my mom, so you can't judge me.
No, no, I won't.
One thing that you mentioned that I personally am very interested in is you mentioned the desire to maybe cook more healthy or find better recipes. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, actually, is because I had this epiphany, if you will.
Okay.
I ate ice cream with a slush. I ate some delicious fried chicken. I had a bunch of different foods, but my favorite thing I ate of the entire day was radish. And
yum.
It was pickled radish, which probably had sugar in the brine.
Yum.
But it was so delicious. And I thought,
crunchy.
Yes, exactly. And there are so many foods. You did a great job. We ate so many vegetables growing up. I love vegetables.
I do too.
And I feel like I need to hone in more of finding delicious recipes.
Right.
Because a lot of times I make steamed broccoli with almost every meal or pretty basic vegetables because my kids are picky and they want to be adventurous.
Right.
And that's not super exciting. So I have this goal of finding really healthy recipes that are also like, what's better than hummus? Barely anything.
I know, right?
So finding more hummuses of the world that I can incorporate.
Perfect.
And so is that kind of what your track is?
I totally relate to what you're saying. And it's funny because I was with Libby, your sister, and she was telling this story. I was a cheerleader and we had a rockathon and everybody, it was a 24-hour thing and everybody, it was in high school, brought, cookies and garbage snacks, which sounded like the best thing ever. But during the rockathon, I called my mom and dad and asked them if they would bring me a head of lettuce.
Because it sounds made up, but I 100% believe it for you, Mom.
Yes, because my body was like, enough, I really can't take any more of this crap. I got to have, and not that lettuce, really, it has no nutritional value, but it was just, I needed something crunchy and healthy and cold and different. But the reality is it takes a lot more time to cook healthy because it's not part of our Western culture. So, I didn't bring you up with all those great recipes. I wasn't brought up with all those great recipes. And so it's not second nature. And it takes a lot of time to dice vegetables and combination foods and blah, 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 blah. So it's, that's a commitment. I can understand the yearning, but it is a commitment. Yeah.
One recipe. And, it's not going to be A+ certified healthy, I'm sure. But one thing, I messaged you yesterday, we used to eat red beans and rice, and I asked you if you had a recipe like for a homemade version, and I found one.
Ooh.
But you have to, I'm picking up beans today, but you have to soak them 24 hours in advance. And
Unless you have an Instant Pot.
well, that's true. But I
Yeah.
want to follow, because I've never experimented with it.
Okay.
I want to follow this recipe. I've
Okay.
never made it before. But I'm really excited about it. And I know my girls will absolutely love the red beans and then just put it on top of rice. But I want to find more things like that. But you're right. Every time I look it up, it's like I love Mediterranean food.
Right.
It's very new ingredient heavy, which
Yes.
is kind of scary. Where do I source them? Where do I find
Right.
them? How do I keep them fresh?
Right.
And then also, I'm way more adventurous than my family. So
Yes.
there are a lot of
That's hard.
things to deal with.
Yeah.
But
That's really difficult. I mean, it is. It's super difficult to not be on the same wavelength with your partner or, your family. That would be difficult. Period.
gratefully, Matt is very, very supportive of fasting.
Good.
And he's also very supportive of eat whatever you want. But he's just, he's the man that eats the same thing no matter what restaurant you go to. Like, it's chicken Alfredo on the menu.
Right. He's the milk toast of eaters. Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yep. Yep. Oh, well. Well, maybe you can have your, yummy pickled radishes and stuff in the refrigerator and eat those on the
Yep.
side. Yeah.
That's what I have to do. So as you've been in this 2-year journey, have there been any foods that you used to love that kind of fasting has changed your appetite on?
Yes. Like, I don't eat these a lot, but like canned, like raviolis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anything really processed. It's like,
Yeah.
if I taste anything really processed, it's like, this is not worth eating. It's just
Yeah.
so void of anything,
Does that include SpaghettiOs?
Well, I have SpaghettiOs in my cupboard that I haven't touched, and I only bought them for when Eliana comes over. So it's not even
Wow.
a draw for me. This is coming from
Yeah.
a girl who, one time for my birthday, my boyfriend bought me a case of SpaghettiOs.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, I have, actually, this is something that you used to love. I don't know if you still do, but processed cakes, Little Debbie's of all varieties,
Oh,
including raspberry zingers. I couldn't keep my hands off them. Well, I just bought some for Elsie they're on a field trip every day this week. And
oh, wow.
we do kind of fun lunches, on field trips. So I bought it was a 10-pack. I am so proud of myself, but it's not because I made the choice. It's just very natural. It doesn't even appeal to me. And I used to eat 3 of them when I was pregnant with Mila at least once a week for our snack bar
Right.
at work. And it's just amazing because there's no draw, but it's very
Right.
processed foods have lost their appeal. I can almost always, this is one, I remember messaging you, Cheez-Its. Cheez-Its
Oh,
lost their draw to me.
yeah.
You do end up tasting a lot of the processing, I guess.
Yes.
Or
Or the lack of food,
yeah.
It's just a filler. It's all just filler junk, And it really, truly, I totally relate to what you're saying. And I almost mourn some things because it's like, I think about the pleasure I used to get out of it and the pleasure I can't get out of it now. And I think,
Yep.
wow, it's kind of sad. But at the same time, I'll reach for something better. So
Exactly. And it's funny you mentioned the morning because the only thing that I really feel that way on is flavored black coffee. That's all I used to make at home was creme brulee or Michigan cherry or blueberry
Right.
muffin. And it still smells phenomenal to me. I cannot drink it. Even if I make it just because I think, oh, let's just see, or this flavor smelled so good.
Yeah.
I can't finish a cup. It's so processed tasting to me.
Yeah.
And as much as it is kind of like bummer, I know I used to love that.
Yeah.
It is also, people don't understand that when you say I don't diet in my eating window, that doesn't mean I haven't evolved or changed or
Right.
crave things or intuitively reaching for better stuff. Now, will I be sad if I ever lose the taste for donuts? Yes, because
I know.
I love donuts.
I do too.
Please
I do too. Well, there are some things, like the really processed things, like you said, that's all you can taste now is this has no, number one, nutritional value, so your body knows that, but it also really doesn't have taste. I think the highly processed things are so sugared and so salted that it's just kind of made us into like Pavlov's dogs, where we have to crave what they want us to crave. And it kind of gets you out of that cycle. That's real, and that your body really does have the ability to heal itself. And if you give it adequate time, which intermittent fasting will do, you give yourself a way better chance of just balancing inwardly, and then I think once you balance inwardly, you kind of lose the taste for the stuff that doesn't support that inward balance. So that's what I always equate it to anyways.
Well, I just want to publicly go on record and give you the props for being the starter of my cottage cheese love with savory. People all over the world have commented, and not that we necessarily did this, and maybe at home we did have cottage cheese with sweet things, but I never in my life even, that just sounds so gross to me.
Yeah.
But I remember when Matt and I got married, he was like, you put savory foods on cottage cheese? And now it's one of my favorite things, but pistachios, pepitas, and I remember with you, black pepper on cottage cheese. So my mother is the mother of that food desire. So thanks, Mom.
Well,
protein.
When your grandpa was a milkman, and you had cottage cheese every day, it just had a very easy, yummy start in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one thing. I need to find more of the really easy, delicious foods, but pistachios and cottage cheese are there's no prep, so easy and very delicious.
Yeah. Anything with cottage cheese is delicious.
Yes. Except for sweet. I don't know. I literally don't think I could get there.
When I was in school, I remember them serving peaches with cottage cheese or pineapple or something. And actually, I liked it because I like cottage cheese, and I think just about anything goes good with it. But the sweet and the salty, it's kind of like a healthier version of a no-bake cookie.
I mean, no bakes. That's another thing I got from my mom, loving those.
Yeah, those are good.
Maybe I'll try cottage cheese with pineapple and tell myself it's a no-bake cookie.
Well, yeah. I don't know that pineapple, well, pineapple's super sweet. That would give you the sweet, and the cottage cheese has the salt. But it really is kind of good. So I like it either way.
I just love the savory so much.
I do too. I like it better.
Do you have any favorite window closers?
No. I don't. I rarely think about window openers and window closers. I just live my life, and whatever that day is, that's what I have. So does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I was expecting you to say wine.
Well, I do. A lot of days I do close my window with a glass of wine or two. Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is so many people ask, do you drink? Can you drink? And the short answer is I think you can have whatever sounds good in your eating window.
Right.
And maybe that won't serve you, or eventually you won't feel good if you do it. But I have never found an issue drinking in my eating window.
Would I lose a lot of weight? Probably if I, if I structured my day differently and I didn't, end like that and blah, blah, blah. Yes. But, it works for me and it's my life. So I get to do it.
I 100% agree.
Yep.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, we are going to move into the fast food round. Are you ready?
Yep.
And over the course of doing interviews, this is my favorite because people's answers just surprise me.
I bet they do.
So first question, what is your absolute favorite drink?
Drink? Probably iced tea. Plain.
Okay. Unsweetened.
Yeah. Blah. Yes.
I have to make it clear we're from the north.
Yes, exactly. No sweet tea for me.
I don't drink hot tea, but from you, I do love making green tea and having it iced in the summer. I get a lot of more water in that way. I mean, with iced tea.
Right. I drink that all year. green iced tea. Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah.
You still do green tea mixed with chamomile?
No, that was more when I worked.
Okay.
I needed the chamomile to calm down.
What is your absolute favorite food?
Cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese?
Yes.
That does not surprise me. Or just a good old head of lettuce.
I know. Lettuce, actually, head lettuce is one of my favorite foods. Lettuce of any kind. It is. It's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Awesome. What is the weirdest food combination that you love?
I like cottage cheese with potato chips.
Oh, yummy.
Yes. That's like one of my favies. Love it.
Yummy.
Yeah.
So good.
It is so good.
That is something I've ate many a times in my childhood. So visiting mom, it's a treat. I do love it myself. And I love potato chips on their own.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yeah. I love pineapple on pizza. Yes.
Me too. 1 point for the good guys. I already know the answer to this one, which is a little fun interviewing your mom, but maybe there's going to be a different one. What's a food that most people love that you dislike?
Avocado. Yeah. I can't even tell you how much my body hates avocado.
You have a physical reaction to the thought of avocado, don't you? That's funny.
Even if I eat it and I don't know I'm eating it, my body, and it sounds dramatic, but the first thought is I'm going to die. I mean, that's what my body says when it tastes it, and I don't even know I'm eating it. So yeah, avocado is not good for me.
I'll eat the avocado so you don't have to.
Okay.
If you had the choice of your very last meal, what would your last meal be?
Probably a really good lasagna, very cheesy, and a really crisp, yummy salad and some gooey garlic bread.
Yum.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yum, yum, yum. And would there be a dessert afterwards?
Maybe a really good New York style cheesecake. I don't know.
Okay. Yum.
Or
that sounds like
pie.
an amazing meal.
A berry pie, maybe. Cherry or blueberry or...
I'm getting hungry. That's another thing I got from you food wise. The love of pie.
Oh my gosh. One of the best things ever.
I can leave cake. I can leave ice cream.
Oh, me too.
But pie, no bake cookies, donuts.
Yeah.
Very hard to say no to.
I agree. Yep, for sure. Pie is one of my... Even when I was a kid, I remember thinking pie was a gift from heaven. That's what I felt like. I didn't even know what that meant, but that's what I felt like. Pie was a gift from heaven. Yeah.
I love it. And I actually have to agree. I think it is. That reminds me of the saying, beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Yeah.
We have a pint glass that says that, and I'm like, it's proof.
Yep, exactly. Insert word, right? Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Pie is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Exactly. Raspberries, whatever. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Mom, is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to discuss before we say goodbye?
Nope. I'm very thankful that you introduced me to this lifestyle, Jackie, because it is a lifestyle and it's the easiest lifestyle ever. And I love the thought that I never have to diet again, that I have tools at my disposal if I want to amp up my, fasting regime to make it a little more strict, then I can. But I get to just live the way that I want to live and not have to weigh 50 more pounds than I do,
Yeah.
So that's super great. So, and I feel better. I feel healthier. Yeah. Not just because of the weight, but because I think our bodies are more inclined to live this way naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. And I'm very glad you joined me on the journey. Really quick question for you. And I meant to ask this earlier. You read both Fast, Feast, Repeat and Delay, Don't Deny.
Correct.
Which one would you recommend first to someone? What do you think is a better beginner read?
I can't remember which one's a little more technical.
Fast, Feast, Repeat.
Okay, then the other one, Delay, Don't Deny. I would read that first.
Yep.
Yeah.
And see, that's actually why I asked, is I figured you would say that, because people like me, I like the technical.
Right.
That really helps me. And I like that significantly more than delay, don't deny. But we approach fasting very differently.
Correct.
And if fast, feast, repeat doesn't do it for you, or you close the book because it's too technical, I think delay, don't deny is a really great option still.
Well, for people like me, the technical aspect feels more ruly. You know, it's like, oh, now this is another diet. This is another can and can't do. And I don't want that. I want motivation. And I want to hear stories. And I want to connect with Jen and her journey. And, you know, so, that's more my speed. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'll get into the technical, you know, after I'm sold. Yeah.
Yeah, after you're sold. Yeah. That's perfect. I think that's a great way to approach it.
Yep.
Well, Mom, I have really enjoyed talking with you. I'm sure everyone has loved listening, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks, Mickey. I love you. So glad to be here.
Love you too, Mom.